World Cup qualifying. Also with Josie, the U.S. is 12-0-1 in World Cup qualifying when he scores a goal. We have the head coach of the U.S. men's national team, Bruce Arena. Bruce, will begin with your comments on tonight's victory.
Well, certainly a good win for our team. I'll let the you people now do whatever you do.
If you do have a question, please raise your hand. We'll start to your right, Stephen Goff.
Bruce, how do you feel about your standing now in your pursuit of Russia after this?
We've had a great year, despite what some of you people think. We've come a long way, and we're well positioned to hopefully qualify for Russia. The game in Trinidad is not going to be an easy one, and we have to have our team ready to go. I just watched a few minutes of Trinidad, and they look like they're fully focused on playing, and it's not going to be easy. So we got to get at least a point. I think a point would assure us of third, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenging.
Grant, right behind you.
Bruce, you talked yesterday about how this Panama team, they conceded only 5 goals in 8 hexagonal games. They gave up 4 tonight. What led to that, and what were you
We scored
targeting?
4 goals.
Okay, but what were you targeting in your game plan?
We wanted to press them early, get out on the break, and get after their back line. On the night, we actually didn't finish well. We could have scored a lot more goals. And the second half, we could have been a little bit better in our possession and made it a little bit harder for Panama. But on the night, it was a good night. Our top 3 players early in the game were very active and dangerous, created a bunch of chances. Our back line had a little bit of a tough time in the first 15, 20 minutes and got a little bit better, played very well in the second half. I thought Panama at times in the early 25 minutes of the game were dangerous at times. And clearly the third goal was a tough one for them. And the first goal, clearly our fourth goal in the second half, about did them in. I'm pleased that we walked out with a clean sheet. It was very important that we have focus on the goal differential as well. So this team went from 0-2 in November with a -5 goal differential. We're now at plus what? 5, right?
Yep.
That's a big change of 10 goals in a year. So we're doing well. I know everyone thought we were going to qualify in, whatever, six games in 2017. It doesn't happen that way. So I think we're moving along well. We've advanced from 6th to 3rd, positioned well with goal differential. Now we have to finish it off on Tuesday in Trinidad.
Up front here, Paul.
Bruce, Christian seems to thrive in these pressure moments. What did you see from your perspective on how he started the game, and do you feel the team kind of fed off of his individual performances early on when he was on the ball especially?
Well, I don't know about that. I think all of our players played well. I think our top 3 players were pretty good. Bobby Wood and Josie were a handful for their center backs, and certainly Christian was as well. Some of the counterattacks were great. His first goal was a terrific finish. I think all 3 of those guys up top played well. I think Josie had 2 goals, Bobby 1, and Christian 1. Can't do better than that.
Jeff.
Bruce, you talked about the counterattack. How mindful were you to try to get some additional speed on the field and Paul, and was that a way that you saw from the beginning to really get at them?
We wanted quickness on the field, and Paul and Darlington combined with our other 3, were able to pressure up the field, were able to get out on the break. So our quickness and speed tonight was a factor.
Ivis.
Bruce, in the lead up to these games, there seemed to be a sense that people thought Panama would be defensive in this game, and they seemed to kind of come out to try to play straight up. Leo Gomez, their coach, came out and said he kind of regretted even thinking of doing that, and it cost them. Were you surprised to see them kind of try to play straight up and come at you?
I'm not exactly sure that's the way I saw it, but they went out and played their game. They come in here with a, pretty good performance to date, so they're not going to change the things that got them here. And they have good players. It just wasn't their day.
Alicia.
Bruce, you said you wanted a crowd supportive of the U.S. Did this suffice?
It's a great crowd. You know, our opponent still had a pretty good support as well, but I was pleased with the fans here in Orlando. They did a terrific job.
Bruce, how's Christian?
I think he's going to be okay. He was kicked a few times. You know, he's been getting beat up in these games in CONCACAF, and that's the way it is. It doesn't look like anything's going to change. So he took a few shots, and we thought it was smart to get him off the field. We felt confident that we could, walk off with 3 points and take. No, he got a few kicks. It wasn't an ankle.
Franco.
Bruce, kind of going off of that, could you guys use maybe an enforcer type, someone to help prevent those tackles on Christian and then limit that?
What would you suggest for an enforcer type?
Just asking.
This competition, and a lot of people don't realize that they have the stupidest card rules. So we're in 18 games now, that if you got a yellow card in game 1 and picked one up tonight, you'd be suspended for game 18. It's the stupidest. I don't understand it. I'm just happy I haven't been around this stuff for a lot of years. I'd lose my mind. So our players can't take a card. We have 10 players on yellow cards here, and it happens the whole competitions. And for some reason, then the referees aren't giving out yellow cards too, because they realize that players will be suspended the next game. So we never know what kind of mentality the referee is going to be, the kind of posture we can take, and we have to be smart. We can't lose Michael Bradley going in and whacking someone to retaliate on a foul on Christian. We need him in this next game.
Bruce, how much of a boost was it just to have DeAndre Yedlin back tonight, especially with containing wingers like Panama has?
Very good, because I thought Barcenas was good, and they took him out of the game, the number 8. On the other side, 19's a good player, and Torres when he went wide. So DeAndre did a good job, and he played against some good players tonight and did well. But he's a good player. He continues to grow as a player, and it's great to get him back in.
Up front, Ron.
Given the field, the conditions on Tuesday, how different type of a game do you expect?
Have you watched any of these games in World Cup qualifying?
I'm asking. What you expect?
I think you can give the answer. It's going to look like when we played in Honduras and Panama. That's what it's going to look like.
Bruce, you started basically with just one defensive midfielder, which could be interpreted as a heavy burden on Michael. Was that a gamble? Did you feel like it was an aggressive tactical approach on your part?
Yes, it was.
And could you talk about what went into that decision and how you feel about it?
We wanted to push 5 players forward in the attack as aggressively as we could. The way Panama plays, we could afford to do that. They made a change when they took Barcenas out. I don't know what minute it was when they brought the number 11 in, and they went to some version of a 4-2-1-3 maybe, and put a little bit more pressure on Michael. Had 3 players in the central part of the midfield, and that's why we brought Dax in to play next to Michael to, give him a little bit more help.
Yeah, Coach, when you made the plea for a pro-American crowd to show up tonight, why did you do that? What makes a good crowd, and how much?
Well, I think when we play a home game in World Cup qualifying, we should have a very strong supporting crowd on our side. And, too often or not too often, once in a while that happens that we don't have that. And I think having a home field advantage is huge. And every time we create a setting that supports our team in a tremendous manner like tonight, it helps us. It's very important. So I would recommend that the next cycle that we closely scrutinize the venues we select in World Cup qualifying. It's important, and it can make a difference in making a World Cup or not.
You think Orlando might be in that next round?
From what I saw, I would come back to Orlando. Yeah.
All the way in the back, Matt.
Bruce, if you, knowing what to expect on Tuesday night about the game, and given how much experience you have with these qualifiers and in CONCACAF, what have you learned about how to approach a game like that that can help this team get over the hump Tuesday?
Get over the hump?
Get the result that you need on Tuesday,
Okay.
given the kind of game that you're going to face. What have you learned about how to prepare a team for that?
Well, we have to be smart. We have to watch Trinidad tonight. They've made some changes in their roster, but prepare like they're a team that's going to play to beat us, and we have to respect our opponent. We have to have the right players on the field, understand the conditions. You know, we did a remarkable job in both Honduras and Panama in getting results there, so we understand how difficult the conditions are. I think in Game 10. When you're playing a team that's eliminated, they can play relaxed. They can play very aggressive. They could care less whether they have players sent off and all those things. And I suspect that they're just going to be a handful because they have nothing to lose.
Paul.
Bruce, one difference between the last home game and this was starting of the front six was poor Ariola starting. What would you say he added to the game, and what went into the thinking of starting?
Well, his speed, his ability to press, his ability to get out on the break, and his ability to play at that pace for 90 minutes. He's got quite an engine. As he continues to develop and he gets a little cleaner on the ball, he's going to reward himself a little bit with a goal or an assist every now and then. But his work rate was outstanding on a night like tonight.